All right, well, I guess in the interest of time, we should kind of kick off. It's 8:30. Thanks for joining us for the first of several pre-meeting seminars. I think there are a lot of raised eyebrows walking into this room. It doesn't look like a standard pre-meeting seminar, and we are trying to do something a little bit different today, so you'll notice there are no speakers sitting up front, and the room's set up a little bit differently. So today was really intended to be more of a workshop-style setting, and so what we're going to do over the next 3 hours, you can see you've kind of naturally broken into two groups. We have two speakers, or I think for today's purposes, they're going to be more conversation facilitators. So at this table is Pete Binfield from Piaget, and at this table is Barbara Goldman from the American Society for Microbiology. And each is going to really kind of lead a conversation around a different area of open access publishing with the kind of the end game or the objective to give each of you some real kind of key and tangible takeaways that you might be able to take back to your organizations and apply either to existing OA publishing programs, or if you're considering launching OA publishing programs. We want to really kind of get into some of the more tangible skills that might be associated with OA publishing. So the format for the morning, we're going to spend about, 5 minutes just kind of kicking this off and introducing Pete and Barbara. And then really it's going to be facilitated around the two tables. We're going to spend an hour kind of doing the first part of the discussion. We're going to take a break for about 15 minutes. Then when you come back from the break, we're actually going to ask you to switch tables. So Pete and Barbara will stay where they are. If you all could switch tables, sit next to someone new. Part of this is networking too, so sit next to someone you don't know. We'll spend the next hour at the other table. And then for the last 20 or 30 minutes, we're actually going to ask Pete and Barbara, but also a nominated kind of speaker from each group to come up here to the front and kind of talk about what your groups discussed. So the last thing you do at your table at each session is nominate one of you, the attendees, to kind of volunteer to come up and present what your group discussed. So just be thinking about that. I'm sure there'll be one brave soul in each group who's willing to come up here and talk about what was discussed. So that's really the format. It's intended to be fairly free form. There's no PowerPoint, so don't worry if you can't see the screens. And I'm sure Pete and Barbara will say this, but please participate. It's intended to be a roundtable discussion. That's why the room's set up the way it is. We walked in a few minutes ago and it was set up in rows, so this isn't quite what we envisioned with two tables so close together, so hopefully the noise of the two tables isn't too distracting, but these pillars are presenting a bit of an obstacle, so we're doing the best with the space that we have. Literally. So that's kind of that's the plan this morning. Mm-hmm. Marianne, I think, is going to introduce our speakers, and then 3 hours can go awfully quickly, so we're going to just turn it over to Pete and Barbara.
All right. Hi, I'm Marianne Baines. I'm with Charlesworth, the Charlesworth Group. Obviously, we have Barbara Goldman, and Barbara Goldman joined ASM as Director of Journals in January 2008. She works closely with the chair of the ASM Publications Board and the 12 journal editors-in-chief to set publication policies, maintain consistently high standards, and implement new technologies, systems, and journal features. Since joining ASM, Barbara's helped launch two open access journals, MBio in 2010 and Genome Announcements in 2013. She has over 25 years experience in scientific publishing and research, background in life sciences, and she received her PhD in developmental biology from the University of Chicago, followed by an NIH postdoctoral fellowship in cell biology at Rockefeller University. And then we have Pete Binfield, and he has worked in the academic publishing world for almost 20 years. Since gaining a PhD in optical physics, he's held positions at the Institute of Physics, Kluwer Academic, Springer, SAGE, and most recently at the Public Library of Science. At PLOS, he ran PLOS One and developed it into the largest and most innovative journal in the world. And he's a respected authority in the academic publishing and open access worlds, and he's made numerous presentations to industry and academia. And he's currently a member of the International Advisory Committee of the International Society of Managing and Technical Editors, or ISMTE, as well as being on the advisory committee of the Medicine X conferences. So those are your two session leads. So thank you.